Spark a conversation, verbal elation, stimulation, education. This is Menage with the MariJayneMaven. When we on the air, it's always a lituation. Might talk about some litigation, might talk about some immigration, might talk about some politics, but never talking nonsense. Yes, we on in the slide. Watch and listen, it's a vibe. Watch it while you getting high, or you can listen while you drive. Just don't forget to subscribe.
Roll up. Trying to get high.
Although those opportunities are incubators and, for better success. So hubby did share, a snippet of the cookbook. I do want to talk about that. Like I said, I received the cookbook, felt very blessed to do so. And so I had a couple of people over for a couple of podcast recordings, and the hummus was a big hit. And the wings, it was wings, if I'm not mistaken. What was your motivation for creating the cookbook, and how did you come up with the recipes? Like, how did you just streamline them down to 40? Because I'd probably be coming out with, number 4, with the 40 more recipes, because I couldn't help it. Yeah. So how'd you do that? Tell us about that process.
Yeah. So the co-author and my business partner, Dennis Haynes, we're kindergarten classmates. And at the time he had just published his first book, and he came up to the Bay. He was on a book tour, and we were just kind of chopping it up. And I want to say he's the one that had I want to write a cannabis infused cookbook. And I'm like, okay, that would be dope. Because where I was mentally was identifying, how can I start to generate revenue or make money in my sleep? We're talking about generational wealth. Yes, and so I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds dope. Let's do it. Because he had the experience as being an author and already written his first book. I had the cannabis experience. And also, too, my dad's side of the family, they have a catering experience as well. So, yeah, that's kind of how it came about. It was just a random thought. And then things evolved when it comes to Greenlight Project. So not only do we do the books, but we also do events as well. We have a cannabis infused cooking demo coming up March 10th at 7 p.m. It's a free event where we partner with a local chef. They're doing infused lobster tacos and cilantro rice.
Shut up. Oh, my gosh. Now, is this going to be something that people can stream? Is it just in person? Do I have to buy my ticket and get down to LA for Thursday?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, no, it's online on Zoom. It's completely free. So all you have to do is register for the event, and you'll be able to gain access to the event.
Oh, cilantro rice is my favorite. Cilantro, so good. First year the hubby started teaching, he had a class that extra. So we going with pork chops or whatever. That's when we ate pork, but whatever it was. And the students were like, that's good. I make that for lunch. And so they started asking, he would be like, this student asked for my leftovers and, meatloaf or whatever. So I said, tell them this. I said, if they pass, their finals or do whatever, I'll go ahead and cook them. So I came into the class and I asked what they wanted. These pot roasts, potatoes. We want this that you made this time. And I was like, okay. I said, so how about we do a little bit of a potluck? I'll make mainly stuff that you guys bring, the fillers. One time it became such a normal thing. Honestly, we had themes. So one time it was Mexican food. One girl in his class, her mom made the best cilantro lime rice. It got to the point that every time we did something, I don't care what it was, I was like, we know what you're bringing. The cilantro lime. So good. Remember her name?
There's no spotlight. I know who you're talking.
Think about it. I want to shout her and her mom out. No, so I will definitely be taking part in that. So do you do collaborations with a lot of chefs? Have you ever heard of Chef Matt?
Mm-hmm. Yep, yes. Absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
We do.
Shout out to Chef Matt. He is the very first person in the industry that I would say that I contacted, and I found him through Twitter because he was advertising infused Thanksgiving meals, and he tagged a bunch of celebrities. And I thought it was genius. First was Snoop. I will never forget. It was Snoop and a few others. And I hit him up and I said, I think that's super smart. Like, I would love to work with you. And we just kind of created a friendship and kind of business partnership from there. He's been on the pod. Super excited at what he's doing. I know he has some of his items are with Pantry. And he cooks in Vegas. Like, he's at everything. So yeah. So do you do a lot of collaborations, and do you focus more on education, private events? Tell us a little bit about that aspect of your business.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Chef Matt. He is an inspiration and doing so many big things in the industry. Somebody that Greenlight Project looks up to for sure, just in terms of his involvement and, how he's pioneering in the industry. But yeah, we do partner with local chefs out in LA. Interestingly enough, so far who we've worked with, they actually haven't cooked with cannabis before. And that's typically the demographic that we get for the cooking demos in itself. And it's a great opportunity for us because we're able to actually help shift the narrative or that perspective around the stigma of cooking with cannabis or cannabis in general. It really educate people like it's not as difficult as you may think it is, and have someone there doing a live demo to really showcase how simple it is to infuse whatever it is that you're already making. Like, it doesn't have to be something crazy or elaborate. We do like to have the chef do whatever their favorite dish is or something that they are really passionate about, so that there is that connection. But we also want to make sure that it's relatable. So we send out the list of ingredients. They can decide to cook along if they want, or they can just kind of come and attend and ask questions and, watch themselves.
I love that, because chefs they have to be part of the industry. They have to have that understanding, and they have to understand that it's not competition. This is something that actually can, expand your awareness, expand your, your talent, and what it is that you provide. Chefs are going to be the practitioners we're working along with the medical profession, but they're going to be the practitioners in a way, the ones that get that information out. Not everything has to be that brownie experience that you had in college. Or, I think a lot of people relate edibles to that. Oh, I don't want that Rice Krispie treat. I don't want that cookie. Somebody gave me a brownie and I was in the corner for 45 days, having a drink. It's not that. And edibles, food and drink, I say this, they're going to be such a huge part of this industry in the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to be normal. I think it'll get so much to the point that the products will have to be in their own storefront, not so much in a dispensary. I think it's going to get to the point where, you go to like Vegas and other parts of the country, they have just CBD stores, CBD wellness stores. That's it. So same way, I think it'll venture into that. What if I, just a client, I want to do an event, and I contacted you. You would take them from point A to point B throughout the whole planning process, or is it just the actual, like the infused meal, or, do you have all kind of services that you provide?
Yeah, so right now we're just focusing on the events that we provide. And like pre-pandemic, we did right before we did our first e-puff paint. We had, a paint instructor. We had some edibles that were samples from the book, just to showcase some of the recipes that we have in there. And, we had that kind of vibe. We've done a game night before. So right now we're more focused on the events aspect. And with the culinary part, we're partnering with different chefs that already do that. We did a little bit of catering ourselves, like the wings and the cookies, desserts and stuff like that. But we're shifting right now to more so just focused on the events and providing that experience when it comes to people who want to experience an elevated event.
Yeah. I love that. And of course, that's what you studied. So, you have that hospitality tourism side and part of you. Do you ever see yourself expanding into, because that's a huge market that took a huge hit during the pandemic, the cannabis tourism and hospitality side. There are a few. I know there's a bed and breakfast in this area that is an elevated bed and breakfast. Do you see yourself? I know me. I have a whole list of things that I want to do as an entrepreneur and that I will do. Is that something that you could see for yourself, because that was your initial focus in college, starting some type of something within the industry, whether it be a resort, whether it be, well,
Yeah.
that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And where, if I could say, if I was like, girl, I got a secret. I have a magic wand and I can make anything happen for you. So if you, whatever, you don't have to share your idea, because I always say you don't put it out there because, you don't want somebody else to grasp onto that. What location would that idea take place in? What would be the perfect location for you?
Man, it's hard to say because I've been between LA because that's where we're from. It makes
Mhm.
sense. It's LA. A lot of people come here.
Yes.
But also I've had ideas as far as Jamaica too. In terms of that
Yeah.
tourism. There's
I
actually a
didn't know
company
this.
out there that
Yes.
that does that. So yeah, it would definitely be somewhere where, there's this beach kind of vibe and,
Mhm.
vacation relaxation kind of thing. For
Yeah.
sure.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking you were going to say something tropical, something in that effect in
Yeah.
Jamaica. Yeah, popping out there. I think a wellness resort kind of deal where, your meals are high value, but they're infused.
Yeah.
And you can get some other type of wellness and you can utilize the plant in any aspect that you want. Intimacy wise, just fun, hanging out on the beach or whatever it is. So whatever it is, girl, let me know. I'm in there with you. I'm there
Oh,
to
yeah.
market whatever I can. So, sorry, my friend, we're supposed to go wine tasting. So what would you say, to somebody that, first, let me go back. What would you tell yourself 10 years ago? What advice would you give you 10 years ago about what road you need to take, or, what is your next step in your journey? Like, because I know for myself 10 years ago, I would have been like, girl, it's going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. Like, these are the things that you need to do to be able to get to where you want to be. But so what was advice that you would give yourself?
Yeah. I think it just like what you mentioned, like stick to the process. Like, even though if I know what I know now, if I had that, then like I could be so much further ahead. But actually, like everything happens for a reason when it
Mhm.
happens. And so just because I had that information and could have, potentially done X, Y, and Z, it doesn't mean that I would have been in a state, whether it's maturity wise or mentality wise, to be able to actually manage and sustain what it was that I'm ultimately looking to get. And so yeah, I think it's just, enjoy the process.
Mhm.
Enjoy the process is
Yeah.
what I would tell
And
myself.
kind of piggybacking off of that, there's during the process to success are a lot of failures, and people see those as stopping points, or as a sign for me not to do this. What would you say is your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
Um Man, so I guess I can take it, back to the cultivation aspect when I had some kind of infestation with some pest or something like that.
Mm.
That was definitely something that was challenging because I know that I have this potential and I know what I can produce, but for whatever reason, I'm going through this temporary challenge and not being able to produce at a high level. And so just being able to stick with it and stay determined and stay focused on the goal, identifying where to pivot and not giving up.
Mhm. I love that. That was definitely my motto for all. You see, the word's already there. He already has it, because that's
Yeah.
exactly what I think is. I'm a huge fan of Friends, and so we always, I don't know if you've seen the episode where they're moving a couch and Ross keeps going, pivot, pivot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I was saying it. I was like, this is the time to do that, to just pivot in whatever aspect you want. And like I was saying, if you're not making any changes, if you're the same person doing the same shit that you were doing in 2018 and 19, when you had all of 2020 and a little bit of 2021 to make changes for yourself, I can't mess with you. Being that you are a life coach, and you're doing your own continuous work on making yourself better, what do you say towards those type of individuals who are in a perpetual slump because it's self-induced? What would you say? What kind of advice would you give to somebody on that?
Yeah, I think, being always starting with identifying, like, are you getting the results that you want? No, you're not. So now that you're aware that you're not getting what you want, what are you going to do to change it? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So really just, that self-awareness piece is something that's so big. And it was really big for me to actually identify like, okay, this is what's happening because of what I'm doing. If I want different results, I need to do something different. So really just taking that step of self-awareness. And for me, what it was taking an assessment. I don't know if you heard of the DISC assessment. It's something similar to like Myers-Briggs, where it gives you a ratio of your behaviors and your tendency. And so with that, I was able to actually identify that I'm a people person. I'm great at networking. I've always known these things, but I was never able really to kind of like identify that as a strength. And so now that I know that that's a strength, that's where I put all my focus and my energy into. And I then surround myself with other people who have strengths and my blind spots or in the areas that I'm not as strong. And so within that, now we're able to operate all in our superpowers and, ultimately accomplish and achieve anything that we set our mind to.
Yes. Two heads are better than one. People need to, there's knowledge in those old kind of quotes, those old timey quotes or whatever, or thoughts. Collaboration's huge for me. And I've noticed that once I kind of started focus on collaborating, my brand has grown. My podcast opportunities have grown. Me being a featured speaker, that's grown. I love how you said networking. You've said that a couple of times, and that's a nugget. You guys network. I have grown my contacts through social media, offering to collaborate, inviting other podcasters on to be a guest co-host, me going on there. 2 weeks ago, I did 3 podcasts. Back to back was a guest on them. It helps to expand. And it also, like you said, whatever your blind spot or your weakness is, you will be able to start attracting people that have those. And then you just innately start learning and you're able to hone that skill. And that's a muscle that then you're able to continue to work, make stronger and work out on. So I love that you say that. What would you say is this the part of success? Because I will say this, the LA scene in cannabis is is successful there in the Bay. Here in the Valley and in good old Sactown, it's like we're 5 years behind. And this is where everything kind of started. Like this is where the 215 and everything started, but we're so behind. My theory is because we're so close to the bureaucracy of politics, because we're here. We are a little clicked up. And then we don't have the opportunities to have events and things like that, like LA. For example, I was just nominated for the Orange County Cannabis Music Awards for a Best Educator. That's a whole community. Like they're doing things, right? What would you say? And I think the LA and the Bay definitely have the whole equity aspect down to a T. I'm sure there could, from down there, people are saying, oh, this can be fixed, this can be fixed. We're not even where they are. We have a couple of success stories, Black women, like the owner of Crystal Nugs, who's actually coming out with her own line and opening what will be the biggest dispensary cultivation manufacturing location in Sacramento, and she's owning it. But we have a few stories versus a few handfuls, different handfuls of stories that come out of LA. For example, latest one, Josephine and Billy's. So you have Gorilla RX. I talked about them last week. Like we have so many storefronts and other businesses that are Black owned. What would you say adds to the success there? And what do you love about the industry as a whole there in LA?
Yeah, I think it's going back to what you mentioned in terms of just the networking and collaboration and the diversity that is there. LA in itself is, a melting pot, so to speak. California a lot, but, LA, the Bay Area. So that, it forces you to naturally be around in environments where you have that diversity. So you have this innovation with people to be able to collaborate with different perspectives and different ideas, different backgrounds. And that, ultimately is what can allow your team and your company to be successful, because it's not just this one perspective, being able to have multiple perspectives. So that's what I would say, the networking, the collaboration, the partnership, and really having the mindset of like, it's not like there's enough for us all. That's something that's really big because, something that's for you is going to be for you. So not having that, oh, I don't want to share what I'm doing because, I'm afraid that this person is, who could be in a completely different lane. Just really having that mentality that, there's enough out here for everybody and wanting to see other people.
Yeah. It's a plant, guys. It grows. Go ahead. We need some more. Go ahead and grow it. But there is opportunities because there's so many different places and ways for you to be involved with cannabis. I don't touch the plant at all. That is a goal of mine. That's something that I'm looking into, becoming more educated. My husband, grown, he's done some awesome things. Well, I'm saving to buy land right now. But I do other aspects. I help with the business side of it. I help with marketing, content creating, the media aspect. So there's so many ways for people to get in. And so there's, like you said, there's a lot more collaboration. I think having an event it's like having another event. It's like having a Hollywood party. Here, somebody hears that you want to have a cannabis event, you want to use their spot. They're going to let you use their spot, but it's not going to be the same price that's what they allow for any other event. So there's a little too much bullshit, for lack of a better word, involved. Now, I know that you're interested in the advocacy side too. Do you work with any specific program that does equity, or are you looking to work with one or anyone that you support and you would like to shout out?
I don't directly, but there's the MMJ Medicals for Marijuana that I follow. The Last Prisoner Project that I follow, and so I definitely could see. Okay, yep, exactly.
Right here, evidence, part of the last. Yep, and I support them, and you guys can also support them. They're on my website where you can donate to them as well. So I love that you say, that is, I love them. Very important to have organizations like that. And people that are bringing that to the forefront, bringing, I don't want to say the salacious side, but where we've been disenfranchised, bringing that to the forefront, not hiding that. Well, these opportunities are here now and allowing that to overshadow the years and years and years, the lies were created. And that it was a strategic movement to eradicate and to, put Black men in jail and people of color in jail or whatever else over this plant. So I love that too. I love everything that you said. But so what is what can we, expect from you over 2022? It's 3 months in already, but before we know it, it'll be Christmas.
Absolutely. I completely, we're going to do it all over again. Christmas.
Yeah, all over. I know, right? So fast. So what is it that we can expect and that we should be looking out for from Coach Ash?
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to Greenlight Project, we're doing an event every month, whether it be a culinary cooking demo. We may start to transition back to in-person classes. So something like that for sure, but some kind of event virtually or in person with Greenlight Project. And then with Winning Coaching, we're just out here looking to help these companies go to the next level. Companies that have gotten past the I'm just trying to survive stage and they're looking to be able to thrive, help them invest in their management teams and their leaders that they have so that they can do that.
Awesome. And that is super important. And I love that you right now, everybody's lifting the mask and all that. I mean, if we look at the numbers, we're on the tail end. But look, some of y'all are hard-headed. Okay. So, which is why we're going into almost third year of our lives being different. We never know. And this virus may be like, y'all think y'all have, please. Here's a new strain. You never know what's going to happen. But was it hard for you to pivot from in-person events to virtual events? And now that you've been doing it for some time, do you see the benefit of that? Like, do you think that it has a place within this industry to still provide those virtual events?
Yeah, it definitely was hard because we had just started to gain momentum. We're a small company. It just happened. We didn't necessarily have a
Mhm.
plan for it. And so we were just starting to gain momentum with our first Eat Puff Paint event. And so when it happened, it was like, oh, dang, okay, we can't do that anymore. And so it took us a
Mhm.
while to actually identify, even though I've been doing like Zoom before the pandemic and
Mhm.
hosting these calls and different things like that. It took us a while to actually kind of like make that pivot. And so now I think one of the benefits from being able to do it is that we're now able to reach a broader audience. So
Mhm.
it doesn't have the exact same feel of the in-person event because like our events, people come because of the vibe, because of the energy,
Yes.
because of the
Yeah.
experience. And
Yeah.
so we're able to replicate that in a similar manner when it comes to being virtual, but it's not exactly the same. But
Yeah. Yeah. No.
we are able to reach a broader audience. We have people
Mhm.
from Puerto Rico, out of state, who like
Yeah.
in their state, like cannabis is illegal. So this is an outlet where
Mhm.
they're able to actually learn about, maybe what's to come or what the potentials are and the benefits.
1000%. And for those that maybe aren't mobile, you know, or, for whatever reason, maybe it's physical, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's, somebody who just, they're not checking for the world. They're like, you know what? I don't like people and they just want to be by themselves or whatever it may be, that is good for people that kind of live, I don't want to say off the grid, but those that are like, look, let me live farthest away from, people that I can't. Um, would you ever be open to with viral events? If there's products that someone needs to have, for this event, teaming up with a brand that would be able to deliver or provide those products to the customers. Is that something that you guys would ever, consider? And okay, that's good to
Yeah,
know.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
always open to collaborations and partnerships when it comes to the events or just in general, identifying ways
yeah.
to support one another for sure.
That's awesome. And that's you. But that's another way of networking, guys. That is networking. That's collaboration. That is, using, and people, a lot of people like to say that's using other people. No, you guys are helping each other. You're catapulting each other by providing a broader audience, by providing a service or whatever it may be. We've got to get away from that. I'm going to do it for self or do it by myself so much because that's what we've always, especially as people of color, that's what we've always that's been our obstacle is getting the support of others. And so we're always like, we got to do it ourselves. But what that is that it's a detriment to you. And that's a detriment to, the community and the one that you can be building and those people that may need what you have. So kind of getting out of that mindset and then being open to what's out there is very important. So I'm going to ask one last question, one last one. And it's pretty hard. I'm pretty proud of myself when I came up with this one, but no. What is, hold on. I just had it. Sorry. I was looking through my list and I was like, this is the one I want to ask. Yes. So if you could hold on to one memory from your life forever, what would that memory be?
Man, that is an interesting question. One memory. Um yeah, I think it would be some kind of travel experience.
Okay.
For sure. I don't
Where's
know
your
if I
favorite
have
place that
one.
you traveled
My favorite place, it's probably been
to? Okay. Nice. And what part? Because
I
everybody
went
thinks
to
Africa, you just end up there.
yeah. I went to Botswana. So
Nice.
it's
Nice.
southern country out there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I went there for
You,
school or because of school. So yeah.
okay. Well, see, I'm glad that my 10-year-old's not listening because he just told us the other day that he wants to study abroad in Japan so that we better pay for it. We were like, you better save up and get a study abroad program.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So you definitely took advantage while you were in school. I mean, you took advantage and you traveled and what? So that was we'll stick with your answer about your traveling, but to kind of expand on that, what motivated you to get into the master's program? And that'll be the last question because I want people to know about that if they're interested. If you already have your bachelor's degree and you're like, oh well, this is something I might be interested in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's actually, it was the master's program that allowed me to go to Africa. But
Okay.
in terms of that, it was, I actually was like, I don't know. Like, I've been in the industry. Do I really need to go? Like, what is this for? But ultimately, for me, it was to be able to add credibility to what it is that we do.
Yeah.
So, like, because the industry is so new, like, it may not even, the degree that I have, it may not even start to actually like make sense or have some kind of traction until 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But it's something that I've already accomplished and that I've done to where I have it as a tool in my toolkit if I need to leverage it, to where I can go now teach at other universities. I can go teach at JCs. When it comes to cannabis education and exposure, I now have that option. So it was really just to be able to have more options within the industry and not necessarily, be limited to, oh, well, because you don't have this, then,
Yeah.
So
yeah. I love that you say that. I'm smiling so much because I'm back in school and everybody's like, why? And I'm like, well, because to add that credibility. I know that I have the skill and I know that I have the interest and I know that but just to add that credibility. And then once again, continuing, your brain's a muscle. So continuing to exercise that and making yourself even more educated through the science aspect of it is fantastic.
Was that an online program or an in-person program?
That's big. And you said you started in December of 19, you said? And then finished August. Okay. Oh yeah. So that was nothing. That was just 2 years, just about. That's all. That's fantastic. And to know that you are, graduate of it, there's not many women in the industry other than, those that have like medical degrees themselves that are, that have that knowledge, but also have that title, so that's very important. And you should definitely, if it's not starting your own program, you're speaking, you're expert speaking, because you have it. And to see a woman of color who's young in like the medical aspect in like a expo or whatever, maybe a conference, would be leaps and bounds and would say so much. And I'm sure you'd be very popular. And you know how when people come around and they want, they're so impressed because the Black woman doing something, but that's something that can inspire, a 13-year-old who knows that her grandma or her mom, use cannabis to help them live a better life. That could be motivation to her as well. So you just know that, you are your purpose and what you're doing is based in true divinity. And I feel so grateful and so blessed. And I mean, that email, I remember when I got that night, I was like, babe, oh my God, this is awesome. Still as excited as I was then, even more so in finally speaking with you. Your energy is just, it's overflowing. It's just everything, or everything about you. As I said before, the skin's glowing. That must be, from inside, glowing the inside out. So I want everybody to please go support, because this is definitely somebody in the industry that you can learn from, you can be inspired from, and that possibly, if you're in the industry, why not? Maybe you can collaborate with, because I definitely will be hitting you up. I think about some collabs here. Please, guys, it's free. Yeah, you cannot. How can you not take part in something that's free and virtual? So please make sure that you go support, you register. Her links and everything will be in the show notes, as well as they've been going, across the banner the whole time. But that's how you're going to be able to go ahead and register for the event. I'm going to register, so I will share it on my Instagram and my Twitter, as well as my website. So if for some reason you guys are like, oh, I don't know where to go, you know where to start. All right. So you guys can message me or do whatever you need to so that we can get you in that class as well. Make sure that you like, follow, subscribe to everything that she is doing. And I definitely, I want to thank you. I think this has been a great first, episode with a woman, and a woman who's definitely going to be recognized in our history. She's creating it now, so you guys are watching it right now. But for Women's History Month, remember, we are very powerful beings, and that we need to, grasp and define and just really live within the power that we have, because it's a blessing not only to us, but so many others. I know in my life, I want to live a footprint of significance in the lives of others. I hope that, Menage with Mary Jane Maven does that in some aspect. What would be your closing, your mic drop for this episode? We'll go ahead and we'll leave it with our guest co-host. You can go ahead and you drop some knowledge for Kanye West.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to say thank you so much to you and the Hubs for having me. Just appreciate it. Looking forward to the next one and what's to come. And my last words would be small steps, great distances. Small steps, great distances.
I love that. That might be the title for this episode. I don't know. Bars right there. Dylan, fire. You guys have to know that. You guys have to know. If not, you should not be watching my pod. All right. Much love to everybody. Please go have a lovely weekend. For California, our weather's kind of shitty. It's been great all week, but now it's kind of back to being shitty. But go out and live life. Have some fun. Hug your kids. Tell somebody that you love them. Deeply kiss your significant other. There's power in that passion. Make out like you used to in junior high school. Just be present. Be in love with life. Love and light to everybody. Once again, thank you so much, Coach Ash. We are so grateful. And everybody, thank you for spending this time with us. I will see you all soon. Much love.